Hello, everyone, and welcome back to NCOIL One-on-One. With us here today is New Jersey Senator Nellie Poe, Chair of the New Jersey Senate Commerce Committee and NCOIL Executive Committee member. Senator Poe, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so very much. I am just so very thrilled to be able to join you, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Great. So let's hop right in. Can you tell us how you first got involved in public service?
Oh, wow. Let's see. It started, obviously, when I was very young. I was very interested in working with people, but nevertheless, my experience in having worked for one of my first job was working for the Patterson Municipal Administration, the Municipal Council, as well as the administration back then, and it was wonderful. I'd stayed in that position for over some 40 some years, so quite an experience for me, and had an opportunity to really understand what municipal government was all about.
That's awesome. And so since you've gone from municipal government, I know you're serving now in the legislature for, both in the Assembly and now in the Senate. What issues have you been most involved with throughout your time in the legislature?
When I first started, my background was in human services, and I thought that was really what I wanted to really continue to focus on, and which I did. But one of the things that I really have found myself gravitating towards most of the time are on issue of social justice. So I've been able to really introduce legislation that really makes a difference, that has been making a mark, if you want. There are landmark legislation that's been used in other parts of the country as a result of that. My first time during my earlier years, I should say, in the Assembly, I was able to be on the Budget and Appropriations Committee for quite some time, actually. I really enjoyed that. I thought my background in municipal government and overseeing a city government, or a department that is with the responsibility of their budget, helped me to formulate my ideas, my focus, my knowledge, my experience in that very realm. Once you're on the state, on a budget and appropriations committee, you really learn about every single aspects of government, every committee, every department. So it really gives you a really good understanding of what the state government is all about. I was able to then use that experience in that time to make sure that I was able to focus on other areas of interest. Just like I said, I was interested in social juvenile justice reform. It actually transferred my experience from that time into chairing the Commerce Committee, and that really helped. In New Jersey, I am responsible for the oversight, regulatory and oversight aspects of the banking and insurance end of it. So it's been quite a very interesting and exciting time for me.
So it sounds like you have a very wide portfolio there. And in addition to all that, you also serve in leadership positions such as Senate Majority Caucus Chair and also Chair of the New Jersey Legislative Latino Caucus. How do those experiences kind of impact how you work in the legislature and your leadership in there?
It gives me the opportunity to really understand and work very closely with members of the caucus. In this respect, let me speak specifically about the Latino caucus. Because we have a number of members that come together regularly to exchange ideas and to be able to speak on issues that are of great importance to the Latino community and some of those concerns, and be able to establish policies, public policies that are really going to make a difference and impact. It's not just for our constituency. If you're going to find, honestly, that a lot of these particular issues that we deal with or that are concerned is really a concern to every single group, but they're highlighted, and they are specifically highlighted among certain, aspects of various different sectors. So That being said, it's important for me to work very closely with my members and find ways on how we might be able to advocate strongly and bring together some of the other members to make a difference in terms of supporting many of those initiatives and causes that are so important to us.
That's great. And so prior to serving in the Senate, you were in the Assembly. Do you feel like serving in both houses of the legislature kind of helps you as you work and advance those priorities that you've been laying out for us?
It was very helpful. I thought, and I know some of my colleagues and some of the members that I serve with either went directly into one, one house or the other. I had the benefit of having served 14 years in the New Jersey Assembly. That really helped to create, like I said, an understanding of what state government is all about, but also what that legislative process was, how we were able to navigate, how I was able to navigate that. That certainly helped me to transition into the Senate. It's very different in the Senate. Clearly, there are less members. We're a lot more independent, a lot more the ability to really do a lot more in terms of those things that are important to each of us, that helps to bring in those particular services within to our specific districts. But we also deal with very important, statewide issues. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for me to serve in both houses, and I've learned a great deal as a result of that.
That's great. So obviously you're involved very much in New Jersey politics, but you're also involved in a bunch of national organizations. We're so glad that you're with us here at NCOIL. Can you tell us how you first heard about NCOIL and how you got involved?
Sure. Actually, I honestly have to say that this was really the doing of Tom Constantine, our current, CEO. He has continue to be, as you all know, let me just point this out because I think this is important. He hails from our state of New Jersey, so he is definitely someone that we really appreciate, know, and we think that the kind of work that he's doing at NCOIL has been very instrumental. And it's because of his involvement, his insistence, I might add, of making sure that New Jersey really is represented and have an opportunity to share and be part of this very important organization that has really made a difference for me. I was invited to one of the meetings back in, I believe, 2017 or so, and that really, made me want to learn more about it. I think my experience of having attended some of the conferences have really provided me with an insight and as to how other states do and discuss some of the very important issues surrounded, around this area, around this issue, and how they tend to process that or deliberate that. It helps me as a legislator to bring that back into New Jersey and find ways on how we have some, means of common good. So it's been a great experience and a learning one for me.
That's great. As a fellow lifelong New Jerseyan, I can say I'm very happy we have a strong New Jersey presence over at NCOIL, so that's great.
Yes.
So you you mentioned that you attended your first meeting in 2017, and we were actually looking at the data. And back in 2017, there were 12 Democrats out of 42 legislators who attended our meetings. And then now at our most recent meeting you attended, we had a near perfect split of Democrats to Republicans, which really shows kind of an increasing level of bipartisanship. Do you feel that having this wide range of perspectives at the table, how does that impact the conversations we're having around all these different policy issues?
Anytime that we have an opportunity to really sit down and have an honest and an honest discussion and and have the ability to exchange those ideas and really be very, very transparent about it, right? I think it gives us it makes us a better person. It makes us a better organization. It really helps to provide that kind of balance of getting different ideas. Anytime that you're able to have that the ability to have both sides at the table helps to really make a difference. I think our country needs more of that, quite honestly. I think we are finding ourselves in so many different opposite positions or just moving in different direction. And we need to, as Americans, we need to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for our citizens and every single one of them. And it's important whether I am doing that from the state of New Jersey or from one of my colleagues from any other parts of the country. I don't want to mention any states so as to not to point out what that might be, but just the point being, it's important for us to work together jointly on these issues, and having a diverse and a balanced discussion from where it's coming from helps to ensure that that happens.
Yeah, and so you mentioned having a diverse balance over there with all these discussions. We have also seen an increase of diversity in our legislative membership. For example, we have two of our women officers now: our president, Representative Deborah Ferguson, and our treasurer, Assemblywoman Pamela Hunter. As somebody with your experience, what do you think are things we can do to boost participation from a wide range of perspectives going forward?
First, let me just say that I'm really very happy to see that we are moving in that direction, that there is a greater sense of diversity. And that diversity comes in many different ways, and gender being that as well. So I'm very, very happy that I find that there are various women in leadership. Certainly, our president and chair of NCOIL. So I think that's something that we need to continue to do more of. So I'm really very happy to see that these issues and that approach is being really focused and prioritized in NCOIL.
That's great. So moving on, do you have a specific valuable takeaway of being a member of NCOIL? For instance, perhaps there was an interesting educational session or model law that proved useful in New Jersey?
Right now we're going through various legislative initiative that deals with prescription. So one of the things, and that becomes quite a heated conversation, right? Because there's so many different views. But so there's some discussions right now with regards to those reforms, and I find that the information that's been given in the past, and some of the discussions that we had not too long ago in one of our conferences, are helpful. So to bring back, to all states, but certainly my state, in terms of understanding what that will do. One of the things that I was able to do most recently in the last conference that we went to, that was the one in San Diego, which was the one you referenced about the balance of members there. I had an opportunity to speak to not a legislator, one of the stakeholders and what have you, an important one. They're all important, let me just say it that way, but it was on the issue of what is happening in terms of the healthcare industry and obviously health and the prescription end of that becomes very important. Not only from a cost point of view, but also a coverage and how do we ensure that many of our residents throughout the country, but in this case, let me just talk about New Jersey, are able to access that and afford that. So had a wonderful, very instrumental, educational, insightful discussion. And it was that opportunity in this conference that allowed me to really get to speak to folks in the industry one-on-one and get their perspective. So those are the kind of things that you get out of these conferences. But it because if even if you know and you're very well versed on the issue, there's always something to learn. No one ever really knows everything, and I think there's a lot to partake and take back with you from these discussions.
That's great. So you mentioned a lot of the takeaways that you have. What do you think? I know you mentioned talking to stakeholders, benefits for non-legislators, like those various stakeholders, consumer representatives, industry representatives, the benefits for them for attending the conferences.
It's the reverse. Just like I said, how I had the opportunity to really sit down and have a one-on-one discussion with a few different people. I just mentioned one, but there were some others and various different sector or space of, both from the banking as well. Well, not so much banking, but on the insurance end of it. For them, it's having access. It's having a sit-down discussion as to what with that state legislator. It's being able to have that sit-down discussion with multiple legislators all at one time. This is, to me, I think that honestly, I think it's priceless. I think you can't really put a price on something like this, because if in order to do that, if you are a multi-state stakeholder in a particular type of space, you will probably need to arrange those individual contacts and each of them. And when you attend these conferences, when you support them, it allows you to really have an opportunity to meet with multi number of stakeholders, as well as obviously policymakers that would really provide you an open forum for those type of discussions that you otherwise would need to spend a great deal of not only time, but capital in terms of how to access those individuals. So I think it's a one for one if you think about it. Just everything that I get out of it, I think it's equally as rewarding for some non-elected person who is interested in reaching out and speaking on those issues that are important to them, with those particular legislators.
Great insight. Yeah, that's awesome. So moving on, are there any issues you would like to see NCOIL take on in 2023?
Well, there's been, and I actually said this at the last conference, there's been a lot of discussion with regards to what's happening in the banking industry, with all of the changes with, some of the day-to-day or ongoing, Federal Reserve, announcements and what have you, and what's happening with many of our banking institutions. I think it'd be interested for us to really consider talking about that and seeing how that impacts our state and other states in general. It also talks about what's the impact on the financial stability of not just my state, but all across the country. So I think it's important for us to look at that and see what we can do as policymakers, as other stakeholders that can share ideas and finding ways on how we might be able to approach that.
Yeah, it's a very timely and important issue. Actually, at our upcoming summer meeting, we're going to be having a session on the bank collapses and its implications. So I'm sure that'll be the start of a very long discussion. So that'll be great.
Very happy to hear that. Very happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So based on your service in New Jersey, have you seen partisanship having an effect on insurance issues specifically, as much as you've seen on other issues, either in other legislative bodies or also in New Jersey, or is it kind of a little bit more of a bipartisan issue?
I've always had an ability to work across the aisle. I've been very fortunate in all my years to be able to reach over to the other side and find common ground and find ways on how we might be able to work on various different initiatives, legislative, initiatives. And in that regard, let me just say that I've been able to not only introduce legislation with another member from the other side to join me on that, co-prime that with me, as well as vice versa. I've been asked by many of my Republican colleagues, I as a Democrat, to join them on their initiatives. So I think it's something. For me, I've been able to work that, and it's worked out well. I think it's important, and I know it sounds repetitive, but it's important for us, if we really care about what we do, if we really want to be able to make some significant changes and find common ground, we need to do more of that. We've kind of lost that in the past, in terms of when you think about it. Some states, as well as on a national level, you see what's happening in Congress. I hope that we continue to find ways of coming back to the doing more of that. I certainly continue to believe strongly in wanting to ensure that that continues to happen from my perspective.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you guys are working together in the Senate in New Jersey. That definitely benefits me as a New Jersey resident. I'm sure that's a lot of credit to your leadership on the Commerce Committee. So that's great. So naturally, we've discussed some of the benefits of NCOIL, the great things. Could you maybe share some things we could look to improve in the future? We always want to evolve and improve going forward.
Improved in the future. I mean, honestly, I think that we only get better with time, right? So we continue to find ways on how we might be able to do that. Understanding some, staying close and paying attention closely to some of those issues that are happening right now in real time helps to only allow us the opportunity to be able to address that in real time, as opposed to kind of trying to catch up. And I think NCOIL has certainly made every attempt to do that. The fact that we are moving in a direction where there's more inclusivity, where there's more diversity, when we are branching out and talking about other issues that may not be so popular, by the way, but important enough to be able to at least put it out there and start the conversation, and actually find ways on how we might be able to be real game changers, changer, if you will, in terms of trying to make a difference. So keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Great. So we don't want to take up too much more of your time. We do have a quick lightning round of questions, if you're ready to answer them.
Okay.
These are real hard-hitting ones. Can you tell us your favorite all-time movie?
Well, I like all kinds of movie. Let me just say that, but I like especially suspense movie, action movies. So let me just leave it at that.
Okay. Favorite all-time food?
Spanish food, for sure.
Nice. Favorite all-time book or author?
Well, I like suspense movie. I've been reading a series. It's from a Robert Dugani is the author, and it's on the Tracy Crosswhite series. I'm on the 9th book, so obviously I must like what's happening there. It's really more of a it's not a spy. It's like an investigative type of story, if you will, and it's really quite interesting. It's a forensic investigative kind of cop related stories.
9 books in. That sounds like a ringing endorsement, so I might have to add it to my list. Favorite all-time song or musical artist?
Let's see. I like When a Man Loves a Woman by Percy Sledge.
Nice.
Old
Favorite
time,
all-time
old
TV
time,
show?
old time TV show. Okay, again, action kind of movie. So old time TV shows. I don't know that I can pin to any one in particular, but I'm good with that.
Fair. All right, last one. Three dinner party guests, living or dead.
Well, let's see. Lynn Miranda for sure. Fabulous. I would say, let's see, Hillary Clinton and Sonia Sotomayor.
Sounds like that'd be a very interesting conversation for sure.
Imagine that little group there,
Yeah, right.
what the conversation would look like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, this wraps up this month's NCOIL one-on-one interview with New Jersey Senator Nellie Poe. Senator Poe, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.